newest installment of the Matrix series, Matrix Resurrections, has been released, and this is probably going to be a short review, because this movie literally took me 4 days to watch. I watched it in 20-minute increments, because that's all I could handle. This is awful. Pure, unsaturated garbage. Now, I'm not a fan of the Matrix films. I'm not. I find them boring, pretentious, and... I need to fix my camera. I find them boring, pretentious, and really full of themselves. And there's a lot of bullshit exposition that nobody can figure out what they're saying. And the sequels especially are worse in this department. Other than the groundbreaking special effects, the action sequences are fine, but that's about it for the movies. That's really all they have going for, and the acting is awful, all around. So, I wasn't really looking forward to this at all. I did rewatch the trilogy before watching this, and yeah, it's about as bad as I remember. I know a lot of people love the Matrix films. I don't. I really don't. So, let's just start with this. This hurts. This movie sucks ass. They did bring back most of the cast of the original, well, they brought back a couple cast members. Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss are back. Is it Ann Moss? Something like that. And I don't know what happened here. Was Reeves trying to imitate his bland performance in the first three? Because his performance here is terrible. It's bland, it's motionless, every line is completely monotone. What happened? He can act. Keanu Reeves can act, right? He can act. I didn't imagine that. Because all of his old stuff he's terrible in, from Matrix to Constantine to Bill and Ted. And here he's just bland. I don't get what happened. I think he was just trying to imitate his performance in the first three. It is just flat out bad. And Carrie-Anne Moss is the same thing. Just as bad. Now, there are new cast members, including a new Agent Smith. Technically two of them. The opening scene has this sort of Agent Smith, even though it's clearly not, and now he is played by Jonathan Groff. Jonathan Groff's a very talented actor. He's not intimidating in this in the slightest. He doesn't do a very good impression of him, and I know he's trying to, but it just doesn't work. Yahul Abdul-Mateen II, I have no idea how you say that, plays Morpheus in this because Lawrence Fishburne didn't want to come back. And after seeing the movie, I can understand why. And their bullshit explanation is that he's some kind of new computer program, I guess. So he's Morpheus, but not really. It's really stupid. And then we get some new characters, all of which are shit. The new villain of this is the Analyst, played by Neil Patrick Harris, an actor I really enjoy, but his character's dumb as fuck. It's a stupid character. All the new characters are bad, too. They have this one person named Bugs, as in Bunny. That's the movie's lines, not mine. Yeah, they literally named this character after a Warner Brothers animated character, and this is made by Warner Brothers. As if Space Jam 2 wasn't enough, you have to shove all your extra bullshit into this. Speaking of that, I saw all the early reactions were saying how meta this movie was. And just upon the trailer alone, I didn't get it. I'm like, how is this meta? Why is everybody saying this is so meta? It's overly meta. To the point where it's not even funny. It's embarrassing. They've created this new Matrix, I guess, that Neo and Trinity are stuck in, where it's a reality where Neo, or in this Thomas Anderson, which is his real name, wasn't actually in the Matrix, but created the Matrix as video games. And there is so much footage from the first three films, I think about 50% of this movie is original footage. I'm serious, I think half this movie has been shot in the last year. I'm pretty sure half the movie was just clips from the original. There are at least 45 clips from the original movie. And it's not cute, it's not charming like the movie thinks it is. It's pretentious, it's annoying, and it's aggravating. And one of the things The Matrix was known for was its groundbreaking special effects. Special effects in this suck. Some look okay, I guess, but especially the bullet time effect looks atrocious. There's a scene where the analyst, he'll like go to bullet time and just kind of walk around and talk while in bullet time, kind of like flash time, really. But it's this weird, like, blurry of it. You know those shitty early 2000s films that did this awful, like, blurry cam effect? It's like, it looks like that. And this is 2021 filmmaking? Are you shitting me? It looks awful. Even when someone is actually just regular bullet time, they just go like this, but it's this really blurry... It looks like the movie is lagging whenever someone goes into bullet time. I'm serious. It's not just the slow motion thing where they'll dodge it, or they'll move really fast. They're moving so fast it looks like a blur. It looks like they're lagging, and the blur is and it's ended up making the screen blur. How did this happen? Where did the budget go? It probably went into the pockets of all the people from the original, because they all probably got royalties for this because of how much footage is in it from the original films, including Hugo Weaving, Lawrence Fishburne, and probably the other Wachowski, who did not come back for this. So they probably all got royalties. They're probably sitting pretty with a nice residual check just for having all that footage shoved into this film. But I don't know where the rest of the money went. I know it got some decent actors, but none of them are like A-listers. I guess Keanu Reeves kinda is now, but still, that's one guy. The rest of these, Neil Patrick Harris and Jonathan Groff, yes, they're very talented. They ain't A-listers, though. They're not. As much as I hate to say it. And so, where did the money go? I told you this was going to be short. I'm not done, but the action in this is, I want to say, almost non-existent. There are very few action sequences. Compare this to The Matrix Reloaded, where it had about 5 fight scenes in the first 10 minutes. That's not fair. Maybe the first 30 minutes. It had 5 fight scenes in the first half hour. This one, I think, has 3 action sequences in total. One in Tom's... What was that? I don't know. Yeah, it looked like I got stuck there. It's because I heard something. Yeah, there's one fight scene in Tom's office that's not very well done, because again, the special effects are terrible, the choreography is a mess, and the camera work is atrocious. Directing in this is awful. I'll get into that in a bit. And there's another one later on. There are a few of them. I'm not even going to go through them. There are a few of them, but they're not particularly well laid out, and not to mention, Neo's, like, Keanu Reeves does have the chops for hand-to-hand combat now due to the John Wick movies. So, but he doesn't do a ton. He does some hand-to-hand combat, but not very much. Now he's mostly just using force powers. And that's not a joke. He does this weird, like, force push to a bunch of people. He'll create this little bubble shield that'll, like, stop bullets in their place. He's using the force. And that's it. That's all you can think of as, oh, he's a Jedi. What happened to the great... You could have just gotten the choreographer from John Wick. I guarantee you could have gotten him, considering Keanu Reeves was in this. You probably could have gotten him pretty cheap. So, why don't you just have someone who can actually choreograph fights? Because the choreography in this is not impressive. The camera work is distracting, because most filmmakers can't shoot shit when it comes to close-ups and action sequences. They can get far-away shots just fine, because you don't really have to do much. You just have to hone in on the action from a faraway distance. But trying to shoot up close is very difficult. And you can tell that this director has no idea how to do it. There are a lot of bland shootouts that aren't very impressive. Like, the final fight is basically Neo and Trinity on a motorcycle, and Neo's using his force powers, and while Trinity is just driving the motorcycle, everybody else is just sitting in a car, standing around, and just shooting. It's like Boondock Saints 2, except probably even worse. Like, the rest of them are kind of like a rail shooter type of thing. You know, those arcade games where you just stand there and, like, shoot stuff as they come at you. That's what happened here, and then the other one is just one of those motorcycle race games with somebody on the back using force powers. That's it. What a fucking waste. The plot is even... The plot and dialogue are even more pretentious than the last ones, because they act like... Because they're trying so hard to be meta. And it's terrible. There's even an entire montage of people in the movie talking about what is the point of the Matrix, like what is of the Matrix games in this, but the movies really. They're talking about the movies. What is the heart of it, I guess? Like what is the core of the Matrix films? And there's a bunch of this bullshit that people talk about that's not even close. It's not as funny and not as charming as this director thinks it is. So, God, is there anything else to talk about? There probably is. None of the cool stuff from the original is here, like I said. The bullet time is done horribly. The action sequences are bad wire work. I think the wire work in Superman 4 was more realistic than this. And it's just... As much as I don't like the original Matrix films, and I really don't like them, I can acknowledge their value. They did a lot for action films, because nowadays, instead back then you just needed to show a bunch of people shooting guns and a bunch of explosions. That's what action films were seen, at least that's what they were seen as back in the day. Now there is a push to make your film more unique, to give your film a style. And that is largely thanks to The Matrix. Part of it's due to other properties as well, like Terminator or Star Wars or stuff like that. Because Matrix did come out the same year as Phantom Menace, but not the point. And so there's now a big push to give your action films a unique style. And I can appreciate that. This film, what did this do for action films? I don't know, but it tainted the legacy of the Matrix films in general. I don't understand how anybody's liking this. I've seen some die-hard Matrix fans, like some people who like all three of the films, say they fucking hate this. So, yeah, that's all I got for Matrix Resurrections. Thank you all so much for watching. What do you think of the Matrix films? What do you think of this one? Did you hate this one as much as I did? This is the worst of the films, hands down. There's nothing redeemable in this whatsoever. The acting is terrible. The story is pretentious. The dialogue is atrocious. It's cringy as all hell. The special effects are shit. The action sequences are boring to watch. And it's overly meta to the point where it's absurd. It's not cute. It's distracting. So, yeah, that's all I got. Matrix Resurrections gets a big fucking F. Oh my god, I could not have imagined this would be this bad. But yeah, that's all I got for Matrix Resurrections, and now I got a bunch of other films to go catch up on. So, I'll see you then.